At this point, I'm gonna just play whatever music I want because I don't care about the copyright claim. It's not like I'm making much off of these videos here, so I'm gonna have fun with it. How are y'all doing today? How are y'all? How's y'all Sundays been? How's y'all weekends been? Welcome back to the YouTube stream. We'll be getting started at 1:05. Just waiting for some more people to get in here. Making some announcements on Twitter and Instagram, so just give me one moment. Sorry for the delay. All right, all right, all right. Let me pull up the economic news calendar. Let me see if I can get that in here. One moment. All right, all right, all right. All right, can you guys hear me? Mic is good, everything good. I think my voice should be loud enough. Let me know. Let me know. Give me some feedback here. Make sure all the audio is correct. Everything's good. Nothing's too loud. They got the lo-fi in the back playing just slightly. Think we are good to go. Welcome everybody. Good. Nice to see you all here. How we doing? How we doing, London Traders Club? What's up, Farhan? What's up, Rahit? What's up, Claire Sin? I'm doing well. ARP doing well. Good to go. All right, sweet. All right, let's get into it then. Number one thing. And yes, this is recorded. Obviously, if it's on YouTube, you guys will see it posted. So don't worry about that. Let's see if the Forex Factory pops up here, and thank God it did. Sweet. All right, so let's just jump right into this. As always, the first thing we want to be doing when looking at doing our forecast every single Sunday. First thing you do, look at the economic news calendar. I use forexfactory.com right here, and we use this as our roadmap for the week. What do I mean by roadmap? Essentially, the days where we want to put more focus on and the days which we want to be more cautious on, even avoid entirely. So if we look at this week's economic news calendar right here, let's begin with Monday. Monday, we have no red folder news right here. All right, so if you think about your weekly profiles and how a weekly candle typically plays out, think open high low close or open low high close. Monday typically tends to be that accumulation day where on a week specifically like this where we have no news on that Monday tends to be the accumulation day for the weekly profile, with Tuesday here likely manipulating, setting a high of week or low of week, depending on if we're bullish or bearish, with more expansion throughout the week right here, right? And we have a very news heavy week pretty much every single day after Monday. Look at the difference here, with Monday being no news, Tuesday bunch of it, Wednesday bunch of it, Thursday bunch of it, and Friday plenty, right? So Monday's a day I'm going to be very cautious of, not even going to trade it actually, and we'll be focusing on the rest of these days where we will see majority of the high probability price action and expansion days, right? And we're just playing probabilities here. Doesn't mean Monday is 100% guaranteed to be a consolidation day, because I always get people telling me, well, look at Monday, bro. Monday traded amazing. I caught so many pips. I got so many points. Monday was a great expansion day. I don't care, right? Because we're just playing the probabilities. I don't care if one time out of many, Monday was a beautiful day, okay? Sure, it happens. The market can do anything, but in trading, it's a probabilities game. And Monday, lacking red folder news, typically we do see lower probability price action. So overall, I'm just going to avoid it and focus on the rest. Tuesday, we have CPI news right here on CAD, 8:30 a.m. Also 8:30 a.m. red folder USD news. This is a prime day to be looking for unicorns or CAD intraday trades right here after CPI. Of course, you don't want to trade before CPI if you're looking at a CAD pair specifically. But USD, 8:30 red folder news. We have core retail sales. This is a news event that's totally fine to be trading prior to. All right, so valid day. Wednesday, we have GBP, CPI. We have USD, FOMC. All right, so on FOMC days, we have 2 p.m. statement and then 2:30 press conference. I always wait after the press conference, after Powell is done speaking. So after 2:30 p.m., wait a few minutes, wait 5 minutes after that. Just wait until Powell's done talking, and then we can look at potentially trading. So on these days, I don't look at the AM session, and I will just come into the PM session. And if I see something, I will look for a unicorn in that PM session. All right, so distinction there on this Wednesday FOMC day. I won't be looking at AM trades on indices. We'll be waiting until after that. We have 6:45 NZD red folder news, 9:30 AUD red folder news here as well. Intraday trades on those pairs, maybe a AUD JPY trade. Want to trade that Asia session, could be potentially nice for those NZD JPY, maybe AUD JPY pairs. or any AUD pairs in Asia session could be quite interesting if you are an intraday trader for those Forex pairs. Me personally, I have moved away from Forex. Like lately, I've really just been focusing on futures entirely. I had a tweet about this a couple weeks ago outlining why. So for me personally, going into a week like this, I'm going to just be focusing on futures trading, commodities, ES, NASDAQ, gold, oil, silver, the futures. All right. That's just a little personal shift that I'm going to take moving forward. But anyways, doesn't mean Forex is just broken now. That's not why I'm moving away from it. It's for other reasons. Forex still works. The strategies, the models, they are still valid. So don't just follow me. Do what has been working for you. Thursday, we have GBP 7 a.m. red folder news right here. USD 8:30 a.m. red folder news right here. And then we have GPY pair with red folder news right here. Friday, JPY, again, more red folder news. GBP 2 a.m. red folder news. CAD, red folder, CAD, red folder. So CAD pairs are fine to trade on this day. GBP pairs, JPY pairs, and on Thursday as well, valid to trade. Friday, there is no USD red folder news, so I still do trade indices when there is days with no red folder news due to that 9:30 open volatility being a factor. So I will still be looking at Friday for trades. Monday we also don't have red folder news, but when you look at a week like this where Monday you begin the week with no red folder news, the rest of the week is very heavy with it, I'm going to not trade that Monday red folder news. Whereas Friday, we would have had all this volatility already injected, where Friday, even though we have no red folder news on indices, we still may see more follow through because of that red folder news being the injection to see that follow through carry out into this Friday, regardless if we don't have USD red folder news, if that makes sense. So even though there's no red folder news on both Monday and Friday, it is higher probability for Friday indices trades, regardless if there's no USD, if that makes sense. All right, so now that we've gone through that economic news calendar, let's go back to TradingView right here. Let me look at chat real quick, make sure everything's okay. All right, good to go. All right, rip Sir Pickle Forex info. No, I'm not done teaching Forex or looking at it or anything. We'll still look at it, still drop some gems on that and all that for you guys. Of course, I'm not just gonna abandon it entirely. Let's see. Gold, never tried that. How is it? Gold is nice. Gold is just like any other asset. It works with the systems, with the higher time for analysis, just like everything else. And the strategy I use applies to every asset, so it's not like it's different or better or worse. It's just another asset class. DXY still bearish. All right, so yeah, let's get started right here on the dollar outlook. As always, we always begin with dollar. It's the world reserve currency. It affects pretty much the whole market, all these Forex pairs. It is where we want to start. It is king. All right, so let's begin from the top down, beginning on the monthly. Volume, please. Is it low? It's as loud as I can make it. I think we are fine, actually. So let's just continue. Also, I will try to keep this forecast short. Last week, it was, or not last week, I think it was like a couple weeks ago. It was like a 2-hour forecast, and that's way too long. And I understand people were saying that they have jobs and busy schedules. It's kind of hard to watch that. So we're going to try to keep this one short, trying to keep it, around an hour. So yeah. All right, I'm going to keep it short and sweet, digestible. So let's dive right into it. DXY monthly chart. Let's look at this on a monthly basis. Finally seeing some expansion phases right here. All right, out of this consolidation, we are currently taking this low right there, but ultimately could still draw lower. Let's see what the lower time frames are telling us. Let's see what that compass is telling us. So we have to use the weekly and daily as our compass to see what exactly is the intention of price right now within this monthly candle, because on a monthly basis we can't really tell much right now. So let's look at the weekly and see what that story price is telling us is. Are we forming fair value gaps lower, showing an intention to then continue lower? pushing towards this previous month's low right here. All right, let's see what the story that weekly candle, those weekly candles, that weekly time frame is telling us. Which right here we see quite an interesting story. What is this? A weekly fair value gap, weekly SIBI, weekly premium array. Let's mark that up. Quite nice right there. All right, what is this? Very simply put, it can be as easy as internal to external on a weekly basis, right? So already we have a bearish bias going into this next week. See how easy that was? All we needed to find was this context right here. Now that we have context, it makes our bias quite simple. So internal to external right here. This candle was quite odd. I would have liked to see this continue expanding lower already, but we had quite an aggressive pullback higher. But overall, we are still rejecting this weekly fair value gap. We're not closing within it. We're showing that intention to displace lower via this large upward wick right here. So the intention is still there for lower prices, regardless of how ugly this candle was. We are still bearish right here. So let's check out the daily time frame and take a look at what the story there is telling us. So on a daily time frame, we have another area of interest right here. Daily context, daily fair value gap, daily internal liquidity to external liquidity. IRL to ERL, quite nice right there. I do like that for potential lower prices. I will be watching this as an area for, again, lower prices down towards the daily external range liquidity and ultimately this weekly external range liquidity right here. So the bias on dollar, quite clear. We have some pretty clear points of interest we can expect lower prices from. Inside this daily fair value gap, we would simply go down into a 1 hour right here. And to confirm a move lower, we'd want to observe a change in the state of delivery. Now, the way I observe that is with a fair value gap. So what I'd like to see is a fair value gap sting into that daily fair value gap displacing away, signaling the change in state of delivery right here with this daily fair value gap. Sorry, with this 1 hour fair value gap displacing away. And I just posted a thread on this if you don't know what I'm talking about. That literally goes over this right here. It's on Twitter. And pretty much just expecting this to now play out lower. This is essentially what your market maker sell model would look like. And if you're confused about what a market maker sell model is, it's nothing more. I really want you guys to have this ingrained into your brain, because people complicate this market maker model stuff so much. It is nothing more the market maker model is nothing more than a term to describe the delivery between a PD array to another PD array. What are those PD arrays? This internal range liquidity, this daily gap, to this external range liquidity, this sell side right here, the swing low. So swing low to fair value gap to swing low. It is nothing more to describe the price movement from this to this. That's all a market maker model is, right? It's nothing more than that. Don't complicate it. It could be as simple as describing the movement from PD array to PD array. Right, let me clean this up now. All right, so that's really all a market maker model is. And to identify when a market maker model is underway, what I use is simply a fair value gap displacing away from a daily gap, and then we can take that down to that sell set. So that's the dollar outlook, bearish on that. Let's clean this up here. So we're gonna go through the currency futures next, looking for higher prices, right? Because if we're bearish on dollar, we're going to expect bullish prices on all these currency futures because they move inverse to dollar, right? Because when you look at the currency futures, this is the base currency right here. And the quote currency is just USD. So this is Euro USD, GBP USD, AUD USD, NZD USD, CAD USD, CHF USD, and then JPY USD, which is why these are inverse to the majors right here, which have USD in the base currency, right? Just to show you, if you're not familiar with the currency futures yet, there's a reason. That's the reason why USD CAD right here and CAD futures are inverse, because the quote currency, US dollar, are just flipped. Same with CHF. They're just inverse because of that quote currency being on the other side. Now you know. So let's just look at euro top down. Let's see which one of these looks most ready to move with a dollar bias right here, which is the strongest, which is the weakest, and pretty much mark that and understand that before the week starts. So let's look at euro right now. All right, on a monthly basis, potential monthly gap here. Nothing really to do with that information though. There's still 15 days left, so we can't really take that into account just yet. Let's dive into a lower time frame, as there's no context, no clear story being told here in a monthly. Let's dive down one time frame and see if we can find cleaner context. So on a weekly basis right here, we do see some cleaner context. We have weekly internal to external playing out. We are sweeping this previous candle's low inside this weekly fair value gap, which could still be a reason to push higher. Consider that a 2 candle rejection, where this first candle failed to push higher, and this second candle is the reason to push higher. We're just sweeping previous candles low to then move higher. All right, this still looks fine. Let's look at the daily and see if we have any sort of daily gaps right here in this large lower wick. See if we have more context to work with there. But on a weekly basis, higher prices, weekly internal to external right there. We have some nice context to work with. Let's look at the daily, as it is now taking a bit to load up. Okay, there it is. All right, right here we are on euro. We have a nice daily fair value gap right here. Let me just clean this up a bit. All right, so this is that previous week's low that was swept, and then we were followed by a daily fair value gap created higher right there. So this looks quite nice. I do like euro for higher prices right here. Same idea as dollar, so this is aligning very nicely. Daily internal to external. So we have context within weekly context, so I really like this a lot. Let me just mark these out. And that gets a nice... Whoa, that's loud. All right, so sweet. Daily context, I like euro. Let's mark that up on the long watch right here. Let's mark that up with a nice green and move on to the next one. GBP. So same thing, just to further expand on euro, just looking for 1 hour fair value gaps, displacing higher off of that. Now, let's go to monthly chart right here. Again, not much to work with here. Let's go to the weekly for some more context. Weekly, very nice context. Also just coming into this overlapping line of defense. So we do have weekly context on GBP. This looks really clean on a weekly basis. I love how this is looking. But let's look at the lower time frames next to see the lower time frame story being told here. To see that intention to push higher. Is it greater or is it weaker than euro? We want to compare between these two, which is stronger at the moment. But I do love this. This is simply this right here is just an order block overlapping with a fair value gap. Looks very nice. Okay. Also sweeping previous week's low. Daily. Now on a daily basis, this is where euro looks a bit stronger, just due to how how that daily fair value gap has formed. Whereas we technically do have the smallest fair value gap right here in a daily, which I'm not a fan of. I don't like using teeny tiny fair value gaps like that, where to even see it, I'm just gonna have to expand it like that. Like I probably would not have seen it if I didn't have that line marked already. That does not look like a very nice fair value gap. If you look at euro again, I just want you to see how obvious that daily gap was, that nice expansion. You don't have to modify these scales right here. Whereas on GBP, if you really want to see it, you're gonna have to modify the scales to even mark it up. So not the most valid daily gap right there. That doesn't really show intention to push higher. It doesn't show that gap. So euro already right here looks stronger to me with the intention to displace off that weekly, even though the weekly gap here on GBP looks much nicer because it is bigger, right? That same concept applied to the weekly. But on a daily basis, euro is showing more intention to already move higher right now. So I do like euro. I think it's stronger. Still, we're going to mark this on the long watch, just understanding that euro is stronger. So leaning towards this for longs. And if you have a different candle closing in EU, you're probably looking at the majors right here. I'm looking at the currency futures. They still look pretty similar to me. But yeah, I look at the currency futures right now. They're really the same thing, but I just look at futures when doing my forecast now. Now let's look at AUD. Let's begin from the top as always. On a monthly basis, there's not much we're working with right here. We are sweeping this previous month's low, or sorry, that's just a monthly swing low right there. So likely pushing higher off of that, but on a monthly basis, really not much context to work with, right? No fair value gaps being created there. Let's dive down one more time frame. Let's see if we have context on a weekly basis. And we do see a little more of a story being told here. What we're doing at all times is just trying to find a clear story for price, right? We're trying to read the story. Price is always telling us a story, and we're just trying to understand that. So let's look at this right here. On a weekly basis, we have some context right here coming into its weekly fair value gap, but something not nice about this story right here on AUD is this weekly bearish fair value gap coming down and also being created, right? And this essentially is what I would consider as trapped order flow, where now price is stuck between a higher time frame premium rate and a higher time frame discount rate, right? So essentially we're trapped right here inside of this cage. So what do I do when I see things like this? We wait, right? We want price to break out of this cage it's currently trapped in, okay? And to break out of that cage, what I want to see is a candle closure above that weekly gap, right? Disrespecting it. And then we can consider price freed from its cage, all right? But for now, price is in trapped order flow here on AUD. Not something I want to work with right here. Needs to break out of the cage. And over here, let's look at NZD next. On a monthly basis, again, not much information to work with. There's a lack of fair value gaps right here, right? We need fair value gaps to understand the story being told. If we see no gaps, there is no story and we move on. But we're only on a monthly chart right here. We can still dive into the lower time frames on the weekly and daily and find a story there, okay? If there's no story being told on the weekly, we'll go down to the daily. If there's no story being told on the daily, we move on, right? The daily is the minimum time frame we want to see for that story, all right? And by story, I just mean context, right? They go hand in hand. So let's go to the weekly here. On a weekly basis, we have a weekly fair value gap. So here's a little story being told. Weekly intention to push higher right here, all right? And this doesn't seem to be a weekly SIBI, so looks much better than AUD where we had that SIBI against us. SIBI is just a bearish fair value gap, where we don't have that over here. So NZD looking better for higher prices. Also overlapping with this old swing high. This is just an order block right here, or even a breaker if you want to consider it that. But really is, you don't have to get mixed up in all the terminology there. All it is, it's an area of fair value. All right, it's an area of fair value we want to see hold. Now, what is this? Weekly internal to external right there. Nice. So let's look at the daily time frame and 4 hour and see if we're seeing already fair value gaps displacing higher. Let's go to daily. All right, on a daily basis already, I don't like this compared to what we've seen already on Euro and GBP, where we are seeing displacement on Euro, not exactly GBP, but not to the degree NZD is seeing it right here, where we're seeing quite an aggressive down close candle right here, negating the daily gap. All right, so I'm not a fan of that already. There's already stronger pairs like EU to work with, that dollar bias. So I'm not going to look at NZD right here. I'm just going to move on to the next one already, as I already have a better pair to trade anyways. Let's look at CAD right here on a monthly basis. Again, not much of a story being told right here, rather than we're just sweeping this monthly swing low at the moment. Let's go to the weekly. Let's see what story is being told there. And much like we just saw on, I think it was AUD, We also have a opposing PD array being created right here with this weekly SIBI right here. Let me just mark that up real quick. This opposing weekly SIBI, and we have an order block right here, but still opposing PD array right there. This is what we would consider, again, just trapped order flow. We need to break out of this cage we're currently in. All right, so not something I really want to trade right here. On a daily basis, we are getting really nasty price action with just lack of fair value gaps being created, consolidation right here. Not interested in CAD this week. All right, so let's move on. CHF, on a monthly basis, we are expanding higher. Failing to offer fair value right here, right? We were watching this area a couple months ago for lower prices. Ultimately, failed to offer fair value. So now what I believe we are going to do is seek liquidity at this high. Price only does two things, remember. So let's look at the weekly. Let's see what this weekly story is telling us. We do have a weekly fair value gap right here. We are sweeping at the moment this previous week's low. All right, previous week's low being swept right there. And we have weekly potential internal to external right here. Now let's look at the daily chart. Let's see what that story is telling us. We do potentially, even though we do have a large rejection wick right here, this can still become a daily gap if Monday does not trade into this candle's high. So I will be watching that. If we do form a daily gap, it can get interesting here. I want to check the 4-hour right here for a second. Let me just see what's going on here. See if we could already push higher. It's that level we don't want to see traded into. We have this order flow leg. We have, is this a fair value gap? See, I don't want to have to change my scales here, so it's not a fair value gap. I would mark. Let's see. Perhaps we can still sweep this swing low, form the daily gap if we reject, consolidate here, or even expand. Then we'll see what happens. I would say I am waiting on CHF right now for a little more data. Let's see if that daily gap, I really just want to see if this daily gap gets created right here. I don't like this rejection wick, so let's see what happens on Monday. I'm gonna keep that on the long watch still. See, this is JPY. All right, JPY has been very strong right here compared to everything, which is interesting because the monthly order flow has been extremely bearish. So it's not something I was expecting to see JPY pick up and take over in terms of relative strength compared to all its counterparts right here, all the currency majors. As you can see, this is very, very strong bearish order flow on a monthly basis. I was watching out for this area fair value right here, just essentially this order block, to potentially move lower. We did see a nice respect off of that. So this next candle should have been a rejection moving lower, but that is clearly not the case, and we are displacing higher, showing intention to just move through that order block. So we're failing to offer fair value right here, now likely seeking liquidity at this high. So JPY, I'm going to start leaning bullish here. Let's look at the weekly, see what story is being told. We have a weekly fair value gap expanding and following through higher right here. On a weekly basis, not a fan of how we did not create this weekly fair value gap right here. That could have been nice context to work with, but that's fine. Let's look at the daily, see if there's anything also to work with there. We do have this weekly external range liquidity pool not being closed above at the moment, so that is a bit of a concern, but we are seeing an expansion phase right here, which could create a potential overlapping weekly gap with this high. So not something to be entirely concerned about still. Let's go to the daily. On a daily basis, we are seeing a potential daily fair value gap being created right here. So that could be interesting if we do get that on Monday and we don't trade into this candle's high and negate it. So I'll be watching this for longs. JPY has been very strong, so keep that on the long watch right there. Would like to see, and just waiting for a daily fair value gap right here on JPY. In CHF futures, previous month's highs taken. Should we consider that PDA, or draw on liquidity should be swing high? Let me see what you're talking about here. Previous month's high has been taken. Okay, sure. Are we seeing daily fair value gaps lower off of that? August highs was this. We didn't see any daily gaps lower, so we didn't shift order flow off of that. So I wouldn't be bearish off of that. On a weekly basis, we also have to observe what the story being told there is. We have a weekly gap that can still send us higher. We are respecting previous week's low right here, and we are showing intention to displace higher off of this previous week's low, forming 4-hour fair value gaps higher right here off of that sweep. Now, what I'll just be waiting for here is that daily gap, because I want a little more confirmation now that we did project as aggressively as we did on this daily. So I'm just waiting for that daily gap, see what happens there. Letting, again, Monday trade as well, which is a day as we went over the economic news calendar, we want to avoid right here this week. I hope that helped. But yeah, that is the currency futures. The strongest right here would be Euro, and we're just waiting on, well, JPY actually would be your strongest. If we're talking about relative strength, JPY would be your strongest. We're still waiting for context to develop there, though, first. So 6E already has that context. We could work with off of that dollar idea right here on this daily gap. So that is why I like Euro a lot. All right, so now let's go to the currency. Let's look at the futures now. Actually, let's look at futures. What are futures doing? Let's begin with ES right here. Let's go to monthly, on a monthly basis. Let me just delete some of these from here. On a monthly basis, we are just using this monthly order block, moving higher off of that. Also, if you do look at NQ, we do have SMT on the lows right here, just to show you. NQ did sweep that low. ES did not. It's just SMT. Let's delete that right there. So on a monthly basis, order flow is bullish, so we're just following that up higher. All right, so now let's look at the weekly, because we need a little more context to actually work with here, because with my context, I like to just use fair value gaps. Let's go to the weekly, see if we have any context right there. On ES, we are moving higher off of this. See, this was a very odd candle. I really did expect follow through lower, especially on NQ. Let's just dive there real quick. On NQ, we failed to offer fair value right here, formed a very large expansion candle lower. I was expecting lower prices and follow through down to this low. Obviously, that didn't happen, and we negated this from being created, seeing huge expansion higher. So now what do we do right here, since it's not very clear of a story? Let's go down. We would go down to the daily. All right, but we're getting ahead of ourselves right here. Let's go back to ES. We would go down into the daily here. I mean, on ES, really, we're still technically working off of that weekly fair value gap right here. Let's delete this level. Still working off of that, although this right here is a very ugly candle to close within a weekly gap. Your expectation on something like this would be a potential weekly gap, already seeking potential lower prices. But again, we just went over what happened this week. Huge expansion higher. Let's go to the daily, see how we played that throughout the week, right? Because we were watching for, let's move this over here. On NQ specifically, it was a clear story with this weekly daily gap lower. I'm going to just refer to NQ because that's what I traded primarily this week, as it had a bit of a clear narrative being told on this daily chart. So I'm just going to walk through that. Over here, let's go back in time. This is on Tuesday. We had this daily fair value gap, expecting lower prices off of initially. What happened on that Tuesday is we closed above it. So what's happening? We're failing to offer fair value, likely going to now seek liquidity. Okay? That's how you get our bias right here, aiming for that high. And liquidity was seeked. Now, again, is this fair value gap right here something I want to expect lower prices from? This right here? Is this something I'm waiting to be closed above like we did here? It is not. Why? Well, this already was mitigated right here. And I don't use already mitigated for value gaps. Also, this is part of old order flow. It's not part of the most recent order flow leg. So that fair value gap is not something I will be using to expect lower prices from and wait for closures above it, right? Already right here, I'm expecting higher prices. I'm expecting higher prices. All right. Okay, we're working always with the most recent order flow. So now we're just pretty much seeking liquidity. We're shifting order flow here on a daily basis, forming daily fair value gaps higher, disrespecting discount arrays, creating new premium arrays. I'm going to now start seeking liquidity. All right. We're shifting order flow on a daily basis here to the upside. Daily fair value gap right here. I don't believe we come down into that. There's a daily breakaway gap at the moment. We have a daily gap right here though that we can potentially use to move higher. So these are the areas of interest for this week. We have a daily gap right here on NASDAQ. Could be quite interesting. Let's look at the 4 hour. Okay, yeah. So this is a pretty interesting, good lesson right here, because I'm already sure some of you are wondering, well, why isn't this daily a breakaway gap? It's because we had this daily candle close above the previous candle's high. Because protocol would be, let's go down to the 4 hour and look for a 4 hour gap within this candle's range. If we do that though, do we see a 4 hour fair value gap? No. So what is that telling us? It's telling us that price is not showing that intention to move higher truly. So what likely may happen here, and why I don't classify this as a breakaway gap, is because there's no 4 hour gap that can already move us higher. So I can expect price to seek this daily gap and then move higher off of that and not consider that a breakaway gap. There's a very distinction there, and that makes sense. But this looks nice. This looks quite nice for higher prices. I do like NASDAQ a lot. I do think it is quite clean, and we have insane, beautiful equal highs to target right here. That's gorgeous. So this is a area of strong liquidity I am watching for as a drop. Let me just clean this up, move this forward. I like my charts. Very, very nice and clean. Looking great. NASDAQ looks very obvious, very clear. Let's mark this up on the green watch right there. Same for ES right there. Now, ES is a bit different here because we had this fair value gap right here. And this is the most recent order flow leg. Okay. So then in this scenario, once we close above that, now we can seek liquidity at this high. All right. Daily fair value gap right here. Although ES looks like it is stronger, right? It looks stronger. It is closing above this daily gap, but more aggressively than NQ. So let's observe if there is a 4 hour gap already right here, because that could be potentially already reason to move higher, which we don't have that. All right. So that same concept is applying right here. There's no 4 hour fair value gap right here. So I will be looking for, again, potentially a move down to the daily gap if we do want to see that. Or if we get another 4 hour gap higher, like right here, that is already enough to play up to that high. We'll just have to wait and see what price does. But looks very nice for higher prices. ES and NQ, very obvious draws at the moment. I like them. Let's look at gold. Isn't an hourly fair value gap enough for it to be a bag? No, it would have to be a 4 hour gap, not a 1 hour gap right here. It would have to be a 4 hour fair value gap. Now that the daily is closed there, we've officially created this daily fair value gap. It's always just, the rule is 1 time frame below the breakaway gap time frame, not 2. All right, now going on to gold. Insane expansion right here. That is nuts. I don't know where that came from, But it just came out of nowhere right here from this consolidation, right? I was avoiding gold because of this nasty consolidation. It's very nasty work. On a weekly basis, we did have clean weekly context, but if you look at the daily right here, off of that weekly, that's a 4 hour. Even the 4 hours is very gross. Very nasty consolidation off of that weekly context. So although it looks gorgeous on a weekly basis right here, this is gorgeous delivery. If you look at the lower time frame story being told, it was very, very hard to get involved in a move like this right here. All right, so I've been avoiding gold, but now gold is expanding out of this consolidation. So looking quite strong. Let's see what we can observe right here. We have a daily breakaway gap. Right there. Let's look at the 4 hour. Look at this. I will get to Bitcoin. I'll get to Bitcoin. Let's see. This is an extremely small fair value gap. I don't like to mark these up. Like, it is extremely thin. We also have a little 4 hour gap right here. These are just points of interest I will be watching on gold. Is the music too loud? I can lower it, that's no problem. Wait, where is this one coming from? I have 2 audio captures right now, hold on. Did I turn something on? What's happening here? Yo, where is this coming from? Application. Oh, okay. No, this is fine. Oh, I think I clicked something. I clicked the music button. My bad. I don't know how long that was playing. Oh my god. I must have clicked that by accident. Oh, yeah. I had no idea. Thanks for letting me know. Anyways, let's continue right here. Sorry about that. I'm sure that was super loud and distracting. Let's go to silver. But gold, I am long. Yeah, guys, sorry. I had no idea that was playing. Holy crap. All right, gold long. Yeah, I know it was annoying. I'm sorry. That's so crazy. I just noticed the whole song played. There was like 10 seconds left in it. Oh, man. All right, let me make sure everything's good. All right, sorry about that. All right, let's get back into it. Silver, gold is stronger than silver, so already off rip. I'm already gonna focus on gold right there. As you see, gold is at all-time highs. Let's delete everything right here on silver, though. On a monthly basis, order flow is bullish. All right. Weekly basis, we are failing to offer fair value lower, likely going to seek liquidity at these highs now. All right. Daily breakaway gap right here. All right, we have a daily candle. Let's see if there's any 4 hour fair value gaps in that. Ooh, okay, so this is where silver is actually differing from gold, because I was just looking at that right now. A little better expansion being shown right here on this candle. Just slightly, right? Just eyeballing it, this is a larger expansion candle, which is why we see a 4 hour gap created right here, which could already be the reason why we push higher, right? This is a great example of a proper breakaway gap compared to what we saw on indices moments ago. Breakaway gap by definition, but by lower time frame analysis, not. So we have a 4 hour. Why did I mark this as a bag? It's just a 4 hour fair value gap right here, actually. This could be quite nice for higher prices. All right, so I'll be watching this. Let's keep that on long. Set an alert right here. Silver looks quite interesting. If you have big gaps, I think you have B adjusted off. Like, let me see if that's the case. Or is it set? Okay, that's what it was. You have set on. You have to turn off set. It's on the bottom right here. You have to turn that off. Set, and then always have be adjusted on, because that adjusts for contract changes. All right, so silver's nice, gold is nice for longs, looking quite interesting. Let's go to CL, crude oil, right here, and let's analyze this from the top down on a monthly basis. Failing to offer fair value right here, likely now seeking liquidity at this low. What fair value are we failing? This one right here. On a monthly basis, that is where we have our story. Let's go to the weekly for a little more clearer context, because I love internal to external range liquidity. So we have nice order flow on a weekly basis confirmed right here. Very, very nice. Let me delete this stuff right here. Very nice context. Gold, sorry, this is not gold. This is crude oil. Looks very, very clean. That gets a nice little from me. I like that a lot. Weekly fair value gap right here. Weekly external range liquidity right here. Oh my god, the music played again. I'm sorry. I keep clicking the wrong button. It's not that one, it's this one. There we go. That's the fucking noise I was looking for. We'll get better at that. I gotta fix the button layout. I keep fat fingering that music. South side external range. Okay, so on a weekly basis, looks very nice. Let's go to the daily. Yeah, I know music came back. I fat fingered it. On a weekly basis, looks gorgeous for context. All right, so I'll be watching that weekly fair value gap. Yo, yeah, I got a soundboard, a little stream deck. That's why. I gotta fix out the layout though. Keep fat fingering stuff. Over here, we have a daily gap. Potentially use that to push higher, especially with a candle closure we saw right here. This indicates we're likely gonna come to this daily gap, push higher. So I'll be watching that. We can play this daily gap into that for unicorns. I will be watching that. But once we get into this weekly fair value gap, I will shift bias to being bearish down to this external range liquidity, looking for 4-hour fair value gaps lower. We also have a 4-hour gap lower right here. Let's see what happens. Quite interesting. Many areas of interest there. I do like oil a lot, so I'm gonna watch this. Mark that up on the short list. Primarily, really watching this weekly gap for lower prices. Let's add alert there, and let's also add an alert in this daily gap, which I do believe will send us higher. We can still use that to move higher. That is gorgeous right there. Now let's. All right, we went through everything right there. We went through the indices, went through the currency futures. I will go through crosses, but we're going to do this very fast since we're already coming up to an hour. So I'm going to essentially speed run these crosses. I may not talk a lot. I'm just going to look at them top down, mark them up very quickly, just analyzing the chart itself, not going to factor in any currency analysis right here to determine relative strength. We're just going to look at the charts, mark them up based on how they look, and see if we have any nice setups to watch for you currency for forex traders, for you forex traders, cross pairs right here. So let's dive into this here on a monthly basis. Weekly gap. We are showing intention to push lower right here. Weekly context. Peace out, Sean. Hope you've had a great one. Thanks for tuning in. Good luck this week, bro. Appreciate you. All right. Looks nice for the lower prices. We'll watch that for shorts. GBP, CHF. We didn't even get a weekly gap lower off of that. So Euro is looking way better for lower prices right there. Already off the rip. Won't look at that. I don't like that. We do have a monthly fair value gap above. Let me just mark that up. Make sure it transposes down to the lower time frames. And we have no weekly gap lower right here, which is unfortunate because that would have been nice context. So not a fan already of AD CHF. That's a weekly gap right here. Okay. All right. Do we have any sort of, sorry, moved ahead of ourselves here. I'm not a fan of this. Weekly, what is the 4-hour saying right here? 4-hour order flow is failing to continue pushing lower, even shifting to the upside here. On a daily basis, not very clean. Not very clean. I'm very strict with what I look for. If it doesn't look clean to me, if it doesn't speak to me immediately, I'm just going to move on from it. I'm not going to spend any more time looking at this. CAD CHF. Weekly context lower. Okay. Okay, weekly context lower on a daily basis. Let's see what the daily is telling us. Lots of consolidation here. Lack of fair value gaps being created lower. Lack of fair value gaps mean consolidation. If you've seen my YouTube video on that, I believe it was my last one. Not interested. EuroCAD. Monthly. Currently sweeping that high. What is the weekly telling us? We have a weekly fair value gap push lower. Failed to expand lower with that lower wick right there. Even forming a daily fair value gap higher. Not interested. Already not interested. This is disgusting price action. Look at all this consolidation. Not interested in that. Let's get the monthly. On AUD CAD, we have monthly context right here, overlapping order block. Let's go to the weekly. Weekly, we have a weekly gap. Let's delete this here. We have a weekly gap right here, which we are showing a 2-candle rejection, sweeping previous week's low. Even though we disrespected that, we sweep previous week's low, displaced back into that range. Do we have daily gaps inside this weekly candle? That would be quite telling. And we do. Okay, so that is quite nice. I would lean long right here on AUD CAD. And let me just clean this up because this is quite messy. AUD CAD looks quite interesting right here. All right, let's mark that to the long watch. NZD CAD already know. AD looks stronger. There's no daily gap here. Next. Already failing this daily gap. We had that weekly context. Just to show you that weekly context, we had that right here. Why is my drawings all nasty, son? Let's fix this up. Although I already am not interested in this. Let's mark this up. Weekly. Daily fair value gap right here, failing and closing below it. Brother, not a fan. Failing to offer fair value, likely seeking liquidity the next. It's very gross. Not a fan. GBP AUD. Failing to offer fair value, seek liquidity. I'm not a fan of this. Now we're forming daily fair value gaps to the downside right here. Daily context lower, but we do have weekly context higher. Not a fan. Trapped. Let's go on to the next one. G Euro NZD monthly. Gross monthly consolidation on a weekly basis. We have weekly context though to the downside, sweeping that previous month's high or monthly swing high, displacing lower. Disrespect your discount arrays, creating new premium arrays. All right, and we have Nice context on a weekly basis. On a daily basis, though, not a fan. See, we have this weekly context. We stung into it, and we are showing zero intention to displace lower. In fact, we're just consolidating here. So I do think we sweep this right there. Let me look at the weekly one more time. Potentially see a previous week's high sweep, and then maybe we can move lower off of that. Again, if you want to see lower prices here, we would have to see a bullish NZD, which is a possibility. We do have that weekly context going for us. I don't like this candle though. But if dollar does move lower, NZD will move higher, pushing, where were we? This. In that direction. What was your job before trading? What was, okay. Why are you spamming that though? Like, I'll see it. I see it if you put once, my friend. You're in timeout for 1 minute. Actually, for 10 seconds. You naughty, naughty boy. Oh, you deleted it. You didn't have to delete it. Oh, I didn't delete it. Okay, well, whatever. Anyways. GBP, NZD. Okay. Okay, monthly. You do have weekly context right here. GBP. Well, that's interesting because your NZD is pointing lower, GBP is pointing higher. Overall, not very clean to me. Not very clean to me. Euro JPY. Now, this is the juicy stuff right here. JPY pairs have been super, super nice for shorts right here. Since JPY has been super strong, we have a strong JPY. Anything XXX JPY is going to be super weak. Okay, so this is why all these JPY pairs right here have been extremely nice for lower prices, and we had very clean higher time frame context to work with there. So if you have traded these cross pairs, congratulations, because these have been very, very nice movers. Let's go to, again, Euro JPY. We had monthly context, but we had SMT with GBP JPY in that monthly context. See how GBP hit that monthly gap. Euro didn't. Which one's going to be weaker? Euro, because it did not need to go into that gap to push lower, whereas GBP moved a little higher before going lower. We want to trade the weaker asset. So with SMT, we can discover relative strength, right? This is all covered in that YouTube video I posted on relative strength analysis. All right. Beautiful example right here. We would go down into, let's go to the weekly, see what context we're working with there. We do have a weekly fair value gap created right there, although it is a breakaway gap at the moment because of those candles. Let's look at the daily. Do we have any daily gaps lower? And we do right here. Let's delete this. Let's clean this up a bit. Let's remove this from the daily view just to keep things nice and organized. Keep things very nice and organized here. All right, all right. We still have this daily context playing out at the moment, so expecting follow through off this daily gap right here. So there's that weekly breakaway gap. Remember, we had a weekly breakaway gap right there. Now we have a daily fair value gap on the time frame below that. So already intention to push lower. We could already use that. Let's go to the 4 hour right here. So we have any 4 hour gaps? No, we don't. Well, we do have this right here. We follow through lower off of that. This is a gorgeous move. Also overlapping with this order block right there. Don't really need to mark that up anymore. Very nice follow through right here. Let's move that over there. It's the 1 hour saying. We had a nice 1 hour follow through right here, which was a very nice trade. So little trade example right here. Just playing the 1 hour order flow legs lower off of that daily context. So remember, we already have that daily context. So we can play any 1 hour order flow leg within this context. Okay, so a little trade example for you would be right here, this 1 hour fair value gap. You can put your, you can put your stop loss at the swing high bodies, because that is an extremely large wick. When I see very large wicks like that, I'll just put at the bodies and target to R, which would have been right around there. right there. Let's just say it's right there. Essentially not even needing to get those 1 hour context lows. And we saw that right there. That is beautiful, beautiful delivery right there. So I love 2R also, because you don't need to demand this whole move down to that swing low. It's not always guaranteed, but what's more guaranteed is catching a reaction off of that 1 hour gap. A reaction is essentially just a little move like this, and the probabilities of that giving you 2R are very, very high. If you have all of this in line, the daily, 4 hour, 1 hour, a reaction off of this 1 hour premium array to catch just the 2R trade is very likely. You don't need to demand more than that. You don't need to catch this whole move. Small pieces of the pie are enough to make you money. That is beautiful right there on Euro JPY. All right, so pretty much now we're a bit of a consolidation here. Would need some more information, but essentially still watching this for lower prices, lower follow through down to that external range low. But main chunk of the move already has been done right here. It's going to be pretty hard to capture something down here, since even if you get new 1 hour fair value gap lower, I mean, you might be able to get something like right here. But again, majority of the move has been done already. You should have been able to catch some goodies right here on this move lower and this move lower right there. Euro JPY, very nice. And again, GBP JPY, we're not going to look at that because Euro was weaker. But let's just still mark this for shorts, since we do have that monthly context. We are still within, so we're expecting follow through lower. JPY can potentially continue moving higher. So let's go to the AUD JPY right here. Look at chat real quick. How can we use futures to identify strong or weak? I have a video going over just that. I'm not gonna take up a lot of time here. We're already going past the hour, so go check that out and you will learn. It's on YouTube. If someone can find the link, I'll grab the link right here for you. It takes me a few seconds. But A went over it in depth in that video. I'm gonna just link that up. Give me 5 seconds, 5 seconds, 4 seconds, 3, 2, 1. There it is right there. All right, what else? What else? Face reveal. Yeah, you'll see it soon. You'll see it soon. I got a lot of things planned. I had a lot of revamps for the YouTube, Instagram. You'll see it very soon. I don't know why you want to see it so bad, but you'll see it soon. All right, next, what is indicated with the weekdays? Looks very clean. That's ICT everything right here by It's Rosh. LOL. All right, sweet, got you. Anyways, AUD JPY, monthly context, monthly internal to external right here. So discount array to premium, premium array to discount array right there. We can dive down. Let's see what the weekly is telling us. Weekly fair value gap right here. Quite nice. That's nice context. Let's go down to the daily. Daily. Already have a fair value gap right there, but also inside of this weekly. So at that point, we don't need to mark out that daily anymore. Weekly always takes precedence over that. See, that's interesting. A bit of a consolidation right here, but we are showing intention to potentially move lower already. Let me just take a look at the 4 hour. 4 hour does look ready already to move. That should be enough. Now, why am I not demanding that daily? Because we also have 4 hour, we also have monthly context right here already showing enough reason to push lower. So we have monthly context. We would look at daily context within that to see if we're ready. Daily right here already showing some intention to push lower with this candle, potential daily gap being created right there. And we have a 4 hour fair value gap right here that we can move lower off of, creating that daily fair value gap. So I'm pretty much going to wait on this. This is not something I would trade off of immediately. Just going to wait, expecting this to potentially move us lower, creating that daily gap. And then we have more context there on a daily basis to work with on AJ. Let's mark that up for shorts. All right, NJ. We're almost done here, guys. Almost done. NJ looks a little more weaker there with the intention to push lower. Let's go to the monthly first, always. Monthly internal to external. Same story as AJ. Weekly breakaway gap. There's not much 4-hour gaps right here to work with. We'll wait for a daily gap right here if we want to get that after Monday trades. That will give us a new context to work with and more confirmation that we don't want to come back up into that weekly. So this also looks quite nice. Let's look at AUD NZD real quick. So if AUD is looking quite bullish right here off this weekly gap expanding higher, likely drawing towards this buy side liquidity right here, this area right here, then AU is stronger, right? Look at this note down here. Strong AZ, AUD is stronger. If we're looking for shorts, NZD is going to be weaker, which is why NZD right here is looking weaker, is forming more expansion below that previous candle's low than AJ. Okay, so we would want to focus on NJ right here for those shorts. JPY. Right, didn't even come to that monthly gap with all those JPY pairs. That's fine. We had weekly context. We are pushing lower off of. All right, also a weekly breakaway gap. All right, sweet. Same exact story as we saw with NZD, JPY, pretty much just waiting on a daily gap right here for more context to work with. All right, so also just back on the short list, JPY pairs. Let's go to CHF, which is actually, looks like the weakest right here, which took that monthly context low already. Already did that. This is a mega breakaway gap all the way up here, likely not getting that. Nice closure below that swing low. For the daily, what is the daily telling us? We have a potential expansion candle right there. Wouldn't wait for Monday to trade. Let's see if we get another daily gap right there. There's a lot of expansion lower already. It would not surprise me if we, let's look at the monthly real quick right here. Where's the monthly drawing towards? Interesting. Again, just gonna wait for a daily for value gap right here. Mark that on the short watch. AZ, we already just went through that. We have a daily for value gap right here, expecting higher prices. On a weekly basis, we were looking for lower prices, but the daily compass, the daily story is not pointing lower right now. It's pointing higher. So likely going to seek this liquidity for now, indicating AUD strength, NZD weakness in the short term until this high is taken. And then from there, we may just sweep this previous week's high and then continue lower. We're going to have to just gauge the reaction off of that. But for now, this would be that draw. And then Euro GBP, let's go to the monthly. Expecting lower prices, we have monthly bearish order flow right here on a weekly basis. We have also weekly bearish order flow pointing lower, weekly context, internal to external, daily. Simply just waiting for this to displace lower. Now, this type of price action right here does not surprise me. This type of price action, it doesn't surprise me. EG typically does that, right? It's a very consolidated, very wicky pair. Just take a look at these wicks right here. So that type of price action doesn't surprise me. We do have clean context, but regardless of that, it can take a while to deliver off of that because of the characteristics this pair right here presents, which is why I do not trade Euro GBP. I do not trade AUD NZD. I use them just for relative strength because, again, look at the type of delivery we see right here. Typical price action that's correctable for EG. Overall, I still do expect lower prices on EG right here. We do have weekly context. Until that is fully disrespected, I will hold that bias because we are still wicking that daily gap. Zero closures within that. No reason to think we're going to disrespect it still. So a weak EG, EU is going to be weaker. GU is going to be stronger. All right. So we'll see. We'll see how this affects these pairs right here. Because at the moment, EU does look stronger. Also, let me delete this. This is kind of ugly. Oh, wow. I hope that did not turn off the stream. I like shut down my laptop for a second by accident. I think we're good. We're going to have to see how that affects, right? Because if EG just displaces lower, then of course, GBP is going to take over right here. And you would want to focus on that. So we can keep a close eye right here on EG. But yes, that is the weekly forecast for today. I don't want to go any longer for the sake of keeping it short. I know I said I'd look at Bitcoin real quick. So let me just look at Bitcoin real quick right here for whoever asked that. Okay, we were looking at this daily internal to external right here, followed through very nicely. Now we're seeing that same pattern right here again, confirming daily bullish order flow. What's the monthly doing? Wow, man, this monthly is gross right here. We have this monthly context and we keep rejecting it. We keep stinging into it and rejecting it with these large lower wicks, which has been, if you're a BTC trader, an absolute nightmare if you're just expecting higher prices from this monthly context right here. But overall, again, we're still in that and we're not really disrespecting it. We just keep sweeping previous month's lows right here and rejecting higher. Okay, so let's look at the daily basis. We had weekly context right here. We're failing to follow through at the moment. The daily is shifting bullish. So we're going to work with the daily order flow right here and just expect higher prices pretty much from this daily fair value gap is what I would expect next on Bitcoin to internal, external, follow through higher on that right there, right? So that's it. It's pretty much the forecast. Quick short watch. Cross pairs right here. Futures looking for shorts on oil. Longs looking for longs on pretty much these currencies right here. Let me just move NASDAQ and ES to the top since they are my focus. I am a unicorn trader. Shout out unicorns. Love them. Let's move the futures up here. Silver and gold, nice. And then we have JPY is very strong. Let's also put that there. And AUD CAD is looking quite nice right here. So this is the watch list. This right here is the short list. And these are stocks. These are just stocks I'm watching. I'll just look at this one real quick because this all applies. It's all works on every asset class. Nvidia looks gorgeous, and I've been posting this in the Discord. I posted it down here. I was able to snag some shares at 104. I'm expecting follow through higher, up to 141 right here. Long-term investment for me right here. Pretty much my strategy for long-term investing is literally just looking at the big tech stock, the big blue chip stocks, looking at monthly context, and literally just playing that and buying at those monthly fair value gaps, because I just want to show you how well that works. $76, that would have been a buy right there. If we came down lower, this would have been a nice buy right here. We did not, but ultimately quite nice right there. Google Goog is looking quite nice right here. Monthly fair value gaps work very, very well for long-term buys. So again, overlapping PD array with an overlapping monthly gap. I copped some down here as well at 154. Would love to see that follow through higher right there. And I also got some Microsoft down here as well. All right, just some stock analysis for you guys. I don't know if any of you are into that, but yeah, that's pretty much the weekly analysis. I will be uploading the unicorn videos. I will. I think I got the whole setup done. I got everything from Amazon. I got it all set up. That is why I have delayed that video, because I'm trying to really revamp and increase the quality in the videos. So again, sorry, just have some patience. It is coming, and more YouTube videos are coming. All right, I haven't posted in like 2 months now, but don't worry, they're coming. They will be more frequent. Just give me a bit of time to really get this dialed in, and I promise you it will pay off, and you'll see. But, or yeah, that's a great point, Dizimo. If this NVIDIA play does not move off of this monthly gap, no, I don't have a stop loss. This is a long-term investment, right? I just use these monthly gaps as areas to buy in discounts, right? Because I just want to buy in a discount, buy at a cheap price. And if it fails, then that's fine. I have a longer-term bullish outlook on this, regardless if this monthly fair value gap fails and we go down into an extended down move like we saw right here. I'll just keep on buying at key levels, at dips, and yeah, pretty much hold the bag, right? This is a long-term investment. This isn't a trade. So if this fails, I'll just add more on a dip, just like QQQ. I also bought on a dip right here. Does it mean I'm going to stop loss on QQQ and take a loss? No, the market only goes up. Okay, so if we get in an extended downtrend like right here, I'm just going to buy that up, because of course it always goes up. There's no stop loss for long-term investments right there. That's how I operate right there. So yeah, good question. But yes, already an hour and a half. We always go more than we should, but hey, I love it. I love doing this. I have fun doing this. So I'm going to end the stream right here. Thank you all for tuning in. See ya Trade Smart. See ya Dismo. See you guys. Hope you found this stream insightful. Please, if you're here still, give it a like. That would really help me a lot. Please just drop a like. I would really appreciate that. And thank you guys for everything. All right, love you guys. Have a great one. Let's kill it this week. Peace.